we are live, and that's my own music playing in the background as I'm watching my own show, just so everyone knows. And I'm joined today with a TikTok legend again. It's kind of a trend of mine. I'm not famous on TikTok, but somehow I get these awesome guys on the show. Mr. Chris Walls, thank you so much for your patience, dude.
Oh yeah, it's been fun.
I love the cowboy hat. I mean, you're coming in full swing. It's obvious you're a veteran. There's no way you have a cowboy hat like that and not have some kind of southern. Obviously, you're from Georgia. I mean, you're feeling it already. Is what I'm saying. You look great.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing about it is this was actually a fishing hat. I bought it on a fishing trip down in Hilton Head Island, and it kind of just stuck.
It's, you haven't taken it off yet. Stuck or what do you mean?
No, it comes
Oh,
off, of course,
okay.
but it's kind of my content image hat, I guess you can say.
Did you buy it specifically for TikTok?
No, I bought it for a fishing trip.
All right, good. Because if you're going dressing or dress shopping for TikTok, we'd have a different conversation altogether.
No, no. I noticed my content got more traction when I wore it, so I was like, hey, might as well.
Okay, fair enough. I
Yeah.
noticed that there's like a really orange glow to this ring light that I bought. I'm not being abducted by aliens with some really bright orange lights. I'm going to change this in a second. So I'm going to actually pull you up full frontal here and tell us why you started making TikToks and the impact it's had on people, if you would.
Uh, the reason I started making TikToks was I was a content creator on Facebook, LinkedIn. I wrote a book 2 years ago, and it started as a branding marketing campaign for my book, and it kind of just I kind of went all in, and it allowed me to express myself. And I was listening to a bunch of good books like Psycho Cybernetics, Zig Ziglar, and one of the things that Zig Ziglar said was, you will achieve your goals by helping others achieve their goals. So from that point on, of course, I started making content to help other people. And I was invited to I was invited to be part of the Global Goodwill Ambassadors on LinkedIn. And it's one of the largest nonprofit organizations on LinkedIn. And they're growing fast. But then I was asked to be a director because there was actually a university in South Africa that was using my content to help their students understand emotional distress and stuff like that. So I was making content as a marketing branding tool for my book. And then, of course, from there, I built my website. And then I developed, of course, I think I have like 8 writers that write on my website. And then, of course, my content, when I started speaking about a lot of things that's going on in the world, I noticed it started getting suppressed. And of course, I was getting shadow banned in a way. So I ended up deciding to build my own social media platform. And it took me about 9 months of beating my head on the wall. And it was tough because I got a background in system engineering. So I know a little bit about coding, but developing a social media platform is a completely different ballgame. And then, of course, I had to launch it on a server that I had to build, set up myself. So everything was done in in coding through a program called Putty. And of course, I was making content regularly. And then when all this stuff started happening about, when Trump became president, and then when they started trying to get him out of the office, and then when it came closer time to election, I started speaking up about things that, I get intel from certain sources. And what I can say, I say, and what I can't say, I'll point people in the right direction. And just apparently it doesn't set right with the media because,
Well, that's
of
not.
course,
Uh,
it's not.
are they making any money off of you sharing stuff? That's probably contrary to their multi-million dollar. I'm sorry, billion-dollar industry, right?
Yeah, I'm a nobody to them. I mean, I was reaching at the point when I was on LinkedIn and Facebook creating content. I was reaching about 1 million people a week without any advertisement, but that ended
Okay, time out.
abruptly.
We need to. There's some of my followers who are, God bless them, they were raised in a place that wasn't full of social media. So that'd be the equivalent of having advertisements in newspapers without going down the newspaper and paying for an advertisement. Like somehow you're in the advertisement newspaper every single week without having to pay for it.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a lot of work. Like literally, I was writing out my content. It was planned. It wasn't just like TikTok. A lot of times I get on and say what's going across my mind, or if I'm talking to one of my contacts or listening to what's going on or reading Twitters. Of course, then I just take that and say what I feel about it or my opinions and perspectives and it's kind of nice doing it that route, but of course, I wanted to get back into the routine of writing my content when it comes to things because I know that's how I got to the million mark. Was I was taking a lot of time creating my content instead of just randomly talking.
You mean something like if you go to my TikTok and you see what I'm doing, he's doing the opposite, is what he's doing. So I feel like I get a anxiety attack when I see some of these posts from veterans. We'll pull some of these up in a little bit. I think you know what I'm talking about when they have the hashtag veterans against Trump.
Yeah,
Um, it's weird to see, and I don't know if these guys are veterans, and I'll probably never meet these guys ever. I've invited them to come on the podcast, and for some reason they don't want to come on the podcast. I don't know why. I mean, it's titled Blue Falcon, like these guys are Blue Falcons. But when they're saying if you don't wear a mask, you can't call yourself a patriot, and I'm a veteran, it's like,
oh
yeah, exactly right. It has a different kind of weight to it. And while the older generation, I'd say over 40, are like, why does anyone care what this guy's saying on TikTok? Well, I'll tell you who cares. It's the next voting block.
yeah. And that's really what turned me on to TikTok. I think I read it was actually Musically back then, and then of course Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a book,
Gary V?
Crushing It, and I listened to that, and I was following him on social media, and he started talking like I was actually on TikTok doing like stupid shit, and then he started talking about the potential, and I kind of knew it was coming. I just didn't like where it started. I didn't like the fact that they used young girls to try and because that's all it was in the beginning was a bunch of young girls shaking their butts and stuff. And I'm like, nah. That's why I only used it for content creation briefly, but it's changed a lot. I mean, you still have that, but they've limited it.
Well, I think what actually, I'm going to try to rephrase what you just said. What
Okay.
made it popular was the girls dancing, and then everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can just flip my phone every 30 seconds and there's another one dancing. All right.
Yeah.
So that's why it took off. I need to put these glasses on real fast. These circle lights these people have, they act like it's not a big deal for a TikTok, but these ring lights, these things are bright. I'm not sure. I might have a cardiacs after this thing. If you
Yeah.
have if you have TikToks, I say TikToks. If you have social media platforms, there's no adult monitoring. It's like a playground for no adult supervision, and that's just it didn't end up very well. And that's kind of like where we're at right now with how I see veterans who I think are getting paid to say wear a mask or you're not a patriot. Here's my flag that I'm not going to show you the name of it, but I got it in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
There's kids who are going to look at that and be like, I like veterans, and the veteran is telling me that Trump is bad. and no one else is telling me that Trump isn't bad. And this guy's really funny because he like farts at the lunch table. Like these 30-year-old, 40-year-old guys are doing things that I'm like, okay, so he's definitely single, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Chris is also a veteran. My bad. And thank you for your service. You joined in 2000, correct? Or no, 2001. Right after the towers, correct?
Yeah. I was in right after the towers, and of course got fast tracked. So just in time. That was part of the goal, though. That's what
Yeah,
I wanted.
I was in ninth grade, and I think everybody remembers where they were at in that moment. Did you have friends that you thought were going to join up, join the army or military, that didn't go through with it when the towers hit?
Oh yeah. No, well, not when the towers hit. I knew a lot of people that talked about it their whole lives, and then of course they never did. Or when I went, they were like, "Oh, maybe I should," and they never did. It's a different breed, I guess.
I remember going through the halls. Must have been 11 o'clock that day, and you couldn't find a guy in the halls of this high school who was, oh, I'm going. Who did it? I'm going. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
And I think, so I mean, probably a few dozen of us did it, but there's like 500 guys, and probably total like 50 of us went. And it kind of goes to where what you're doing on social media is there's always those idea guys. I have a great idea for you. So where do you get your ideas, and why do you follow through with them, and why are you building this 30,000 person following on TikTok? Like, what's the purpose of all that time? Wearing a cowboy hat that looks like you're going to go skin an alligator.
well, I know what's going on, and I see the lack of knowledge and wisdom out there in the young community, and a lot of people just don't know what's going on. That they haven't been educated, or of course they sit here and watch the media, the news, and stuff like that. And it's just like when you know what's actually happening, and then you turn to the news, and it's like, really? They're really pumping people full of this bull crap, and it just it's really disturbing to me. And I think it was probably a year ago. I was asked by it's a high-ranking military official. They're a venture capitalist company, and they own gold mines. And they're actually going to be hiring me to launch a tech company for them soon. But they asked me to start a group, and it's actually called Civilian Intelligence Agency, and we investigate information. And that's one of the platforms that I had cut down. I had 25 admins that did research for me, and we basically went through all of the conspiracies and just found, and then of
Okay, is
course
the
I
Earth
would get
flat?
with my,
I gotta know that. Is the Earth flat? I gotta know that one first.
it, is Earth flat?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
Honestly, I don't think it is. It doesn't make any sense if you look at the Fibonacci sequence and everything,
or if you,
that are,
yeah, you should look outside and see the
well,
moon.
if you look at the pattern sequence and the Fibonacci sequence, everything revolves around, of course, atoms and everything's round, right? So why wouldn't the planet be round? If you look when all matter is compressed, what does it do? It makes round atoms, and then of course
Hmm.
it's inertia.
What? Yeah, you didn't have to convince me. I guess my sarcasm was probably a little too thick on that one. Uh,
Yeah.
I did hear about the guy who tried to find out if the Earth was flat and built his own rocket, shot
Yeah.
up in the sky, and then it crashed on the way down. I don't know what he found out, but he's not going to be able to share it.
I would have to say I believe more that it's hollow than it is flat.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't buy the flat.
I feel as if I'm about to do a photo shoot that no one wants to see. All right, this is better. Yeah, the
Yeah, actually. Okay.
good. Let's do this. You're the only person that I've talked to over the age of 22, probably, that understands the future danger of these kids being brainwashed on TikTok. Like, I have 2,000 followers on my TikTok, and I think I get, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3,000 views of my profile, maybe 14,000 views of my videos each month. like 14,000 views of my videos, and only have 2,000 people following me. By the way, does anybody have 2,000 people following them on Instagram? Because that's a lot of people on Instagram. And you have 30,000. Like $30,000, 30,000 people on Instagram is huge, right? Like that's serious advertisement money. These kids have no one to be like, hey, I know it's cool to say this or to say that, and I know it seems like if you say this or that, you'll get popular, and everyone will be like, yeah, you're right. I'm glad someone said it. I try to explain that to
Mhm.
people, and the people who are listening right now are like, what in the world are you talking about? They're training our younger generation to follow the influencers and what they say. And then they actually end up living what they say because they're saying it.
Oh yeah.
I've heard all conservatives need to die.
Mm.
Like, that shouldn't be on Facebook for sure.
Mm-mm.
But now it's
No,
getting bigger and
I
bigger.
got I got an interesting comment about my tree the other day. It's actually a spiritual thing, but some guy told me that it was a Timberland tree, and it's I'm representing hanging African Americans by having that on my wall, and I'm like, what? What? Really? Wow! Mind blown. I would have never
Don't take that
thought.
kid. Don't take that kid to a park. He's gonna have a hard time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I told him I was like, I guess since I got trees in my backyard, I'm a racist now.
yeah. Well, I don't
Watch
know.
out!
Then you're not an environmentalist if you're cutting down all the trees because of the rainforest. Um,
Oh man,
yeah, I know. I got you. I got you, man.
can't win from losing.
And the message here, like I try to be positive on this podcast, is Chris is very realistic. Uh oh. Siri asked me who I want to send it to.
Yeah.
Yes, Siri. I didn't ask you to send anything, but I don't know.
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay, so I didn't ask Siri to send anything, but we're going to take that off.
Mm. They're listening.
It's the military thing, like full send. Hey Siri,
Oh
full
yeah.
send. I don't even know where I was at. So I'm gonna pull up a video of yours that caught my attention, and it's probably the best video that I've seen on TikTok. And if this is on Fox News, I would love Fox News again. If they played this video on Fox News, they'd gain my trust back.
Hey, I might. I might start watching them again.
I bet you would. I bet you would. He's already a sellout. No.
Nah.
You're so far from it. And that's the beautiful thing that when I saw this, I was like, this guy is probably crazy. And then I find out you're a veteran, literally right before the podcast. And did you make this video, or was that somebody else?
It depends on which one you're talking
Oh,
about.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you have 30,000 followers. You have a lot of videos. The
Yeah.
the free kid.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. No, I didn't. And I actually store content as I go. I actually have an offline computer that I have dedicated to storing data. So I pull as much information off, as I can, and I store it. And of course, eventually I go through and what I feel should be out, I'll put it out. But I do that so it's not connected to the internet. They can't ever get rid of it. I always have a copy. So if there's a video out there that you're like, where did that video go? I probably have it on my computer.
You're like the guy who has the videotapes of like the Crag, like the Nickelodeon Crag. Remember how they had to.
I'm WikiLeaks up in here.
Speaking of that, I wonder when we're gonna hear that again. Okay, so this is.
Oh yeah.
Imported into America.
Oh yeah.
Start with a virus. Imported into America. Talk about it nonstop. Call some governors. Not them. Not them. That's you guys. Put patients into nursing homes. Health
Yes.
Yeah, that's more like it. Lock him in his basement. Shield him from the press. Don't cover this. Don't cover this. Don't cover this. Keep doing that. Ignore the economic recovery. Downplay the world peace. Pump the balls. Pump. Pump. Don't stop pumping. Install your software.
My favorite part's coming up here.
That was fast.
That was fast.
Call off
Yeah.
kick everyone out. Pull out all the extra bells. Get the software to do its thing. Get the media to say it's over. Call the big tech guys. Ban anyone who notices. Act like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Start with a virus.
So I had to watch like 5 times because there's so much in there.
Yeah.
And the first 15 seconds goes by for me, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot. That's pretty accurate. Oh, that's really.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that anywhere. I actually had it in my database, and it's funny because after I had posted it, I noticed a couple. When I started making TikToks, I noticed a couple of the high-ranking people that had a lot of followers. When of course, I kind of looked up to them because they were doing their thing, and then next thing you know, I see them starting to post duplicates of my content. Yeah, so I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, this
I'm not doing. Yeah.
Basically, it's still in. Oh yeah, I lost all my hair, by the way. It's 2020, but you have
Right on.
you have the ability on TikTok to take a video and make it your own. And if you have a better marketing strategy, you'll get more followers for it. So
Well, my goal isn't. It's not for the follower. It's not for the attention. It's to get the information out there because people aren't going to ask questions, and especially with the media blocking everything out, they don't get access to this stuff. Like you would never see that video anywhere on other platforms unless someone like me posted it. The person who created it, they created it. It probably got banned from other platforms, so they're sitting on it.
to be honest,
How
how often have you seen a TikTok video and then like 4 days later a friend says, "Hey, have you seen this video?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
10 times now. It's like all over TikTok now.
Yeah, I try to stay ahead of the game and not post stuff that other people are posting. That's why at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm on Twitter finding out what's going on that angle. I'm setting up a call with one of my contacts to see if they've heard any new information. And but my sources are from security clearance, some of them. Of course, like I told you, my cousin trains the special forces. He's one of their lead trainers. So I have an in to a certain extent. There's only certain things I can be told and certain ways I can be told it. And of course, I used to have a security clearance, so I get a little more information a little easier than some people. And
Well, you don't need any
Of
extra
course.
information, Chris, to see what's going on here.
no,
That's the funny thing.
you don't. Some people do. Obviously, they need extra, I guess. Where'd you get that from? I pay attention.
Hey, let me run this one by you. How many vaping deaths happened in July of 2019?
Vaping?
Vaping. Remember vaping? They're like, these people are dying of vaping.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, popcorn lung. Look out. I don't even know.
Isn't he called, isn't Biden called popcorn, or what's he called? He's called like Uncle Pop or something like that.
I don't think I heard that one.
Yeah. Well, that made me look like an idiot because I can't remember it. But because I don't call him Uncle Pop. But there was several hundred COVID deaths. I'm sorry, vaping lung deaths this summer, and then 0 by February.
Yeah, same thing with the flu. It seems to be a pattern.
Most of the time that I see vaping, it's when people are bored. I can only imagine owning a vaping store right now, but I feel like that was a great investment because people are sitting at home doing nothing, and all of a sudden,
Well,
tons of vaping, but no vaping deaths. It's like,
yeah. Something like that. I don't know. Something like that's always bothered me. Like when I got into sales when I was younger, I was a ace in the hole. Like when I went out and sold, I was like, but then the techniques behind it, I realized I am not giving these people something they need. I'm convincing them that they need something, and I couldn't do it, man. Like I was making $3,000 a week, and It was when the AT&T Bell South merged after the shortly after, what was it, the when they ended that monopoly, and then AT&T and Bell South merged or something like that. But we were selling contracts for the merger, so we were basically bringing in new customers and stuff. And I was really good at it, but when you go somewhere and the guy who taught me was just like he could sell anything to anybody. Like it was ridiculous. I think he was possessed. Like so, but when I'd go out and do it, I'd have to try 10 times harder. And I get to grandma and she's 80 years old on a fixed income. Her phone bill's $15, and by the time I leave, it's 80. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm done.
Yeah, there's a difference between being a salesman and helping people, right?
Yeah,
Like, we're all in one way or another a salesman. Like you have to be a good salesman, especially when you're a business owner. Gosh, I hope so. I hope you're the best salesman. But there's
yeah,
a difference between that moral obligation of selling out for money because you're good at it, or
yeah,
kind of like what you're saying, going down the more difficult path of taking the easy way out is not an option. So you have to take your
no,
honesty and your sales skills and go build something that's your own, that you can make the same impact as these other guys, but that financial gain is going to be, it's going to be down the road. It's not going to be right there
oh yeah,
immediately.
oh yeah. Well, it's consistency. Like another guy I work with, he's made like $250,000 on the stock market this year, and he's like, "Oh, you need to get in on Pfizer." And I was like, "Nope, I would never invest in a vaccine. I'm sorry. Even if it made me a millionaire in 3 weeks, I wouldn't invest in it because
First
I
off,
think it,
that right there, like I'll tell you this. Take my glasses off. I'm telling you guys right now, that company should make a dime more than the cost of making sure everyone's taken care of at that company. This is a national pandemic that's literally killed hundreds of thousands of people, right? And you have businesses that are shut down that have been around for generations, and yet the CEO of Pfizer's like, "Hey man, anybody seen their stock prices lately? Killing it." Like, what kind of moral obligation does a person have at that
yeah.
point?
Well, I'm here to do God's work, and anything like that cause where I'm at spiritually, anything like that, I feel like it tarnishes my soul. Like even knowingly going into it, I feel like it tarnishes my soul. So like I can't even like get up in the morning and go do something that it has negative influence or intent towards someone else. And if I did, I catch myself, say these trolls out here online, they'll be like bashing you. Occasionally, I'll be doing something and I'll get frustrated and like I'm like replying, I'm like scratch that and I'll delete it. And I'm like, why did I let that get to me? Because the moment of time where it was actually affecting me, I don't like that feeling, and I pretty much just brush it off, and I don't
I
know.
don't. I
It's a,
don't. I don't. I got a funny video to show you later. Um,
It took me a long road to get there, man. Like when I was suffering from PTSD, I was just ready to knock somebody's teeth down their throat. You know, I couldn't stand loud noises, and it took me a long time to get over it. But it's funny because it all happened instantly. Like when I overcame PTSD and depression and anxiety, like it was all just panic attacks. And anytime I got into rough situations, and it was an instant. When I discovered what I discovered within myself, it was gone. And like it doesn't, the only time it comes back is more of an anxiety of just like I, I, I feel empathy for this person. Like I don't judge no one. I feel empathy for that person.
hmm. Well, that's just not going to help anybody in the world. You being the bigger man and trying to bring people together, like that's not what we need right now. That's not going to make us any money.
uh,
So you gotta back up on that.
yeah, wait, I know when I
I'm really
posted
trying to get
it the three.
some people. I want people to watch and it's like, yeah, yeah. Say some stuff that I
Yeah,
agree with that I'm so angry about. It's like,
yeah,
actually, I've been trying to get these veterans, and then back to this story, these veterans who I'm like, why is this veteran saying this? I would consider evil things. Um,
We'll go with good cop, bad cop. How about that? I'm kidding.
Honestly, I see. I'm gonna pull this video, but I see these guys who I know are super intelligent. Like one of them's name's Daniel Anthony Speaks on TikTok. He's Asian. He said he was, so I can say he was. But apparently, he is one of the very few who's been kind to me. Like not seeing that I'm a conservative and oh, you're white. You're a guy, so you are a white national or no white libertarian nationalist. I don't know exactly what that is. I might be it. I don't know. I haven't been tested.
Mm.
But but they have this box they put you in, right?
Yeah.
And these are other veterans who are using the name and the honor of being a veteran, in my opinion, and going out and not acting like a veteran.
Yeah.
One of them, for instance, is going to Trump rallies, pretending to be a Trump supporter, to have gotcha moments.
We call that folly.
We call that a blue falcon.
Well, blue falcon or folly. Folly is the emotion that they're seeking, but
Okay, explain that.
they're
To me.
seeking.
'Cause I don't understand. I don't understand this. Like, why would you do that?
Well, folly is almost like a self-justification feeling, and people that are evil or dark or just hateful, they seek folly, and it's a way to, I guess, patch the void in their self where they're disconnected from, whatever it is that they're supposed to be connected to, but their life force. But when you have disconnects in your neurological system, and I actually wrote articles on this, it's called behavioral problems, but it talks about how you get disconnects in your neurological system, which prevents your body from communicating with your mind, your nerves, and everything. So when you feel incomplete, you seek something to fill that void. And some people drink, some people smoke, whatever it is you do, but also they seek self-justification. And it's funny, I just read this book. It's called Leadership and Self-Development. Have you seen this?
I have not. I'm not.
But
Who wrote it?
it's Arbering, what is it? Arbering Institute, something like that.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it, but
I don't know how to read.
yeah, it's
Everyone else can probably see it, but I don't know how to read. So.
they have the audiobook.
Oh, okay.
What is it? Arbinger Institute. Sorry, I can't read, obviously. That's why I listen to audio.
Look at this book I have. Everyone.
Yeah, you can't see it. What? But it talks about like people like confining themselves to a box. It refers to this self-loathing, self-justification form of communication. So basically, when people seek folly, of course, if you're speaking from a religious aspect, they say a demon's favorite drug is folly, because and they say in these occults and stuff like that, they always tell on themselves because they need that form of self-justification. It's like the media or Biden always putting his foot in his mouth, telling you what he's trying to do. Yeah, we're America's done. Have you seen that one? He basically just
Yeah. It's not just because the blacks either. In case you didn't know that.
but yeah, that's what it is.
It's like, America's
Folly
done because
is
the blacks. And I'm like, why did you say that in a row? That's not.
so when you meet people that always seek self-justification, it kind of tells you their level of pureness. And he obviously has a dark soul because he's always putting his foot in his mouth, seeking some kind of self-justification.
We've got the kids and used to rub his legs.
Hairy legs. Huh?
I got hairy legs by the pool, and that's how I knew what cockroaches were. I was like, what?
I don't understand how anybody can take that guy serious.
I can. So I was asking these questions. I actually knew a little bit about that, but I do want that folly quote. I'm gonna write that down real fast. I haven't heard that before. What? Say that again. The folly and the demons.
Folly.
But what was the quote? Like the
It's
demons'
well,
favorite.
yeah. A demon's favorite drug is folly. It's self-loathing, self-justification, and you can see it in their eyes. Really, I've actually studied what is it, Chinese facial recognition, how you can read people through looking into to their eyes. So a lot of people can't that I know that aren't self-aware can't have a direct conversation with me if they're not good people because they know that I'm like peering into their soul because I look
Oh,
for
that's
that. I look for when I well, it's a good thing because it protects me from trusting someone
I'm
that's going
sorry.
to stab me in the back.
Not you. That's good. Good on you. I'm saying like that's scary for me realizing you saying that because I've never really. Um, if I was taught at a young age, hey, you can look somebody directly in the eye and tell if they're evil or not. It's that
Yeah,
apparent for some
it's
people. It's some, it's not apparent for others. But you're right. I mean, you can definitely look people in the eyes and see if they're even there, right?
yeah,
So back to
absolutely.
the someone who's looking for um, completeness, right? Someone who's lonely, someone who's destitute. There's a huge group of them that have been amassed over the past 19 years. Veterans.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull a website up for us real fast.
Ooh.
Hey guys, this is votevets.org. Yeah, that's that's my ringtone for my text messages, so everyone knows when you text me. That's embarrassing. All right. Oh, Mike said get closer to the mic. That's funny. Okay, so this is votevets.org. I actually came across this because I was on Twitter and I said something, like thank goodness, Joe Biden's running this year. Um, I never really understood how the world is messed up, and now I do see it. Instead of complimenting Trump, I was trying to say, man, now I understand like the difference between having an example of what's right and what's wrong. But someone who is drunk and who loves this organization said, hey, Bobby, you should have these people on their podcast. And so I was like, votevets.org, that sounds like a great organization to have on my podcast. Definitely. And then I'm like, well, what's their mission? Let's see if you can read this real fast. Not too many. Started in 2006. So do some quick math with me, Chris. 2006 would have been about 4 or 5 years after most people deployed or got out of the Army for the first term. Well, they have 700,000 veterans who are military family members and their supporters. And the mission of votevets.org is to use public issue campaigns to give a voice to veterans on matters of national security, veterans care, and everyday issues that affect the lives of those who served and their families. So at first glimpse, you're like, man, like where do I give them money? Well, all right, I love it. Well, here's the thing. Vote Vets has and will continue to work with all progressive allies representing labor, immigration, gay and lesbian rights, and environmentalists when their issues coincide with the needs of troops and veterans. I like how they put the troops and veterans at the end of that sentence. Like, oh, you can't read it. Sorry. Is that better? Okay. So $120 million has been raised since inception. That's actually not accurate because this year they raised $200 million. And they have 51 TV commercials and radio spots in 32 states, which is great. I mean, I can only imagine having $120 million at the disposal of helping veterans, and you run TV ads. That's pretty impressive. And this is where most people are like, oh, there's nothing there. Okay, well, let's go to the candidates. Do you know who any of these people are? They're all bald. Look at me. Okay, so again, so like nothing like off the top of your head. Okay, well, and then you see this right here, 501c4. Do you know the? Do you know the difference?
Nonprofit.
Okay, it is a nonprofit. Do you know the difference between a 501c4 and a 501c3?
No, I do not.
You know what? I saw this. I was so excited to get them on the podcast because they had 250,000 people following them on Twitter. I was like, oh man, I'm about to get like a lot of following on my podcast. And Nancy Pelosi following it, and Bill Gates, and
Mm.
et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to pull up their IRS, what do you call it? The 1099s, right?
Tax record.
Tax records.
Yeah, the financial reports.
Yeah, I'm really good at looking them up, and now all of a sudden I'm nervous because I never did this. Let's do 24 vote vets pack. Hold on.
Uh-oh. TikTok don't like silence.
Hey,
No, that's good. Well, I'll drop a video with the link to the actual podcast. So if somebody like came in, they're like, oh, maybe I don't have time for it now, they can go back and check it out. But
hold on. Bear
I
with
don't
me.
know. Some people have short attention spans. It's
Hey, you know what? You know what? That's the problem here, right?
Yeah.
Here.
You're talking more than 30 seconds. Oh.
Hey, man, I came in here for some quick information, and then I was going to be out. But that's the thing about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's able to continually have the calm presence, continual conversation, even when they stutter or trying to look something up, and that's what I want to get better at.
My awakening was I sat down one night and uh, I got off of work. I was programming 5G towers at that point, and I come in and I sat down and I just started like I was trying to write an email. I think it was Richard Branson. I just read Richard Branson's book, and I was like, I'm gonna write Richard Branson an email because I have some ideas of stuff that I want to eventually free energy stuff that I want to get out there. So I started writing an email because he had a competition going on for what I was one of my designs. So I started writing this email, and the next thing you know, like I don't even know what happened. Like I look up and I'm sitting behind I think 65,000 word book, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and I literally sat down at 12 o'clock, and the whole night was just gone, and it went by so quick. And I'm sitting behind a book now, and I'm like, whoa, what just happened?
Do you have
But yeah.
do you have the idea that maybe when you're driven like that, nothing else matters?
Oh, nothing mattered, man. Like I was in a zone and literally just wrote a book, not even thinking about it.
You know how often I would love to say that?
Yeah.
I was just not even really even thinking, and I created something that most people can't even read. Um,
It's only ever happened to me once, and the way I see it is that I was meant to write that book, and I need to put it out. I need to quit procrastinating on it, but it has a lot of personal information, and a lot of people in my family. I kind of kicked them a copy of it, and say, "Hey, read this," and then a lot of them back, and they're like upset with me about the book, and I'm like, "Look, I'm gonna change. There's not gonna have your names. No names are gonna be in it." But people know it's a biography, or an autobiography, so they're like, "Oh, well, of course it's this guy and his family." So they're a little concerned about it. But me, I had to say it, and like a lot of the stuff nobody in my family knew, because like, of course, one side of my family was dirt poor. My mom fell victim to the crack, fighting a cockroach for food or climbing in the local grocery store dumpster, and it's just hell of a life. And then of course, when I get 10 years old, I meet my dad for the first time, and his family is wealthy. So then, of course, it's a big clash. And yeah, there's definitely an interesting book. There might even be a movie that that can stem from it.
how do you think
Like
the reason why it'd be a movie is because people can connect with it, right? And that
yeah.
camera just
Well,
froze.
well, and that's one of the part of my branding campaign was, if you think you have it bad, just know that there's always somebody out there that has it worse. And then part of that campaign was also, yeah, by the time I was 12 years old, I was already blown up and stabbed twice. People were like, "What?"
Yeah. Okay. What?
Yeah, there you go. When I was
How are
3
you
years
blown
old,
up?
when I was 3 years old, I was in an explosion. My brother and I, basically, our parents lived in they were basically hippies. They partied their life away, and we were kids running around doing whatever the hell we wanted. And my brother and I were in the garage playing with our cars and toys and stuff, and he's trying to pour gasoline into his car, and I guess our hot water heater had a gas leak. So somehow the gas on the floor combined with the gas in the air ignited, and I was standing right next to the hot water heater with gasoline all over my feet, and it just boom blew up. And yeah, I have some scars down here. Most of them healed up pretty good. On my inner thighs and outside of my thighs, I have third-degree skin grafts, and down on my left leg, my calf all the way down to my toes, I got a pretty big skin graft also. So
How old are you
luckily,
again?
I don't remember. 3. Kaboom.
That's a heck of a way to be a 3-year-old. I mean, you're rolling into kindergarten
Yeah.
like, hey man, I ain't worried about boo boos right now.
Well, it also caused me to have like severe nerve damage for a long time. So like I can't feel a lot of things that most people can as far as pain. So my pain threshold's through the roof. I'm like, "You want to fight? Punch me."
Yeah, I'm bored right now.
Oh
Let's do
yeah.
something. See if you can
Oh
wear
yeah.
yourself out.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Okay.
Oh, I could go on for days with
Well, go
stories
on.
that you wouldn't.
Tell another part of the book story. Oh, I'm still looking at this.
Another part of the book story.
The story of the book. Sorry, I'm trying to read this and talk to you.
Okay.
I need a Jamie.
It's kind of a touchy topic. It took me a while to be able to talk about it, but one of the most intense parts of the book is when I went to war, and I remember we got to Baghdad International Airport, and we were setting up comms. And once we got set up, of course, they're like, "Well, y'all don't need all of your team members out there to run the equipment. It runs itself. You going on a clearing ops." So, of course, we get pulled out to go on a clearing ops with the brigade that we're with, and we're walking through the Baghdad International Airport, and there's like little shops, just like any other airport, except when you go outside, it's a freaking desert everywhere. But so we're going through the airport, and I'm in the back because part of me was a shammer. Like I was ready for action, but I still knew how I went to military school and I dealt with all the screaming and I didn't let it get to me like everybody else did. So to me, it was a joke. I was like, yeah, okay, we're all men. Let's go out and do this shit. And they want to be like these power hungry people that, oh, you're going to listen.
Yeah, your boots have to be laced a certain way. Didn't you hear? He's going to go around looking at our boot laces. I'm like, no, he isn't. There are way more important things than boot laces. The private news network introduced me to mass media.
Yeah, well, that's how I got labeled an activist, partially because of my attitude. I was like, come on, man. We're both adults here. But I was bigger than that little pride hunger trip that they had. So we're walking through the Baghdad International Airport, and we passed this little store. It looked like maybe a little grocery store, cigarette store, whatever. And, of course, I'm in the back, and I'm just being a sham. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to shoot nobody. And we walk into the store, and there's a ladder going up into a drop ceiling. So we shine the light, get up there and look around. Well, I didn't. The other guys did. And they all walk out. So it's clear. And I'm sitting in here lighting up a cigarette, standing in this room. And by the time I walked out, I heard clink, clink. And I turned around. I was like, what the fuck was that? And I come in the room at the ready. And as soon as I come around the corner, there was a guy jumping off of the ladder with his AK going like this, trying to point it at me. And I just pulled the trigger. And that's probably the biggest thing that messed me up, because when I shot the guy, it was like close range at the face. And so the image of what happened behind him, like replayed over and over again in my head. And it kind of just hit me there. But
well, thanks for sharing, man. That wasn't easy. Yeah, that's
no, but I try to talk about it when I can, because it helps.
Well, I'm glad it helps, man. And thank you again. And I'm not sure who's listening, but I don't care if 0 people are listening. Brother to brother, man. Thanks for sharing that. Like, that's got to be like a weird, awful, terrible memory that you vividly remember. Like,
yeah, it got me a little bit, huh?
How do you get over that?
I don't know. I've managed to get over all of the things that trigger me, but talking about it gets me a little bit. Like, as long I can think about it and it doesn't get me, but when I talk about it, it's like saying it brings it back tenfold. I don't know how that works, but
well, you're trying to make me visualize it.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe it's because somebody is actually visualizing and understands, so it kind of reminisces the pain that someone else.
Whenever you tell a joke, you're like, hey, remember that one time at such and such? And then you both are like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the eyes.
The
eyes, the empathy, the understanding.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. It wasn't something that I'm ever going to be able to sit here and pat you on the back and tell you it's okay. But I know it's going to be okay because you're man enough to say it on a live stream podcast, which is more than anything I couldn't talk about it.
I couldn't talk about it for over 15 years. Like, my wife had to force me to go to the VA and find out that I had post-traumatic stress, because I don't know. She couldn't talk to me. I couldn't talk to her. It was terrible. And of course they tried to, hey, take this medication. I'm like, no, I'm not taking no medication. I'm not depressed. And of course I might be angry, but I'm not depressed. And I turned that down, and then I went to a few meetings and stuff like that. And I was like, they're like talking to you from a perspective, like they don't understand. They've never been to combat. And I talked to other veterans, and most of the people I've met, like that say they're military, I haven't been deployed. So I don't know, other than the battle buddies
before you start talking on that, I've never been deployed, so don't hurt my feelings.
No. Well, some of my battle buddies, like they went with me, and of course they weren't in the positions. Now, they were there front line, but they didn't get caught. They didn't have to pull their trigger. They didn't, they weren't in the wrong places at the wrong time, right. And I just so happened to be. Yeah. But one of my buddies was, and the only problem with that is he has this Mississippi upbringing to where it's old fashioned that thinks that white people are all racism. Even though we went to war, we were brothers. He lived with me 6 months when we got out, and he still has this something in him that just will not accept the fact that we really do care about each other. He has this blockage, and I'm like, you know what? Eventually, especially around this time, I talked to him. I had the command sergeant major, the Marine that's a venture capitalist guy, talk to him on the phone, and he broke it down to him. And he's a black guy, and it was black guy to black guy, and he explained it all to him what's going on, and he started almost crying, and then shortly after that, he's just like made comments about stuff. I'm like, man, we just went backwards. I was like, I quit wasting time with it because I've known the guy. We've lived together for several times. He's lived with me. I lived with him when I got out of my ex fiance and I moved out from each other. But it just something there. He could not let it go. He was so far branded. It's like I give the guy my shirt off the back, and he just could not let that one thing go. I don't get it.
Yeah, I just had an interesting perspective as you said that, because you grew up around, well, it's a very, I wouldn't say that you have white privilege, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I actually lived in the projects before.
Had you ever listened to, oh, Shelly, you there?
Well, one of the things that bothered me a lot when this whole racial thing come out is in this white privilege. I'm like, you're feeding me a bunch of crap because I grew up living in the projects. I remember walking home from school getting jumped, and I got stabbed in the back when I was walking home from school with a pencil. And it's like, poor white, and people, that's what they say. You're derailing our conversation. Poor white boy, you just want to take attention away. I'm like, no. I was like, racism goes both ways, and it's ridiculous that you guys can't see it.
Oh, hey, what's the comedian's name? That I like from Louisiana. Really? We're 0 for 2 over here. Okay. But anyway, his joke was, is this camera working again? His joke was saying he had the same conversation with some of the kids at school. Like, there's white privilege. Like, man, I didn't have any of that. Like, I knew some people who had sweaters. Like, I knew people who owned sweaters. But,
Yeah, right.
I was a two wife beater kind of guy. Who? Oh yeah, Theo Vaughn. Yeah, you need to look him up. And he was saying, do you really think that I would be the guy who would profit from all this terribleness and then move right next door to you?
Mm.
And I was like, oh yeah, we're in this together, man. So, the scary thing is, if you look up how the autonomy of communism and the socialism revolution happens and occurs, the key factor is autonomy. The key factor is having the ability of no centralized power. Oh, echoing. If you don't have a centralized power telling everyone what to do, then you won't have. The scary thing is, oh no, is that me or you?
I muted it. I was trying to get this link. I forgot to share it on my other platforms.
You're fine. You're fine.
My bad.
So, oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I just want to make sure that I didn't have 5G hitting me. So we're good.
It's nice to see that my camera looks decent on there.
Yeah. No, you're great. You're great. I was reading how communism and socialism spreads, and it's not necessarily how we believe it is. It's not Taylor Swift saying I'm voting for Biden. It's not, name the celebrity. It's not that, actually. It's the ability for small villages, right? Cliques.
Yeah.
To find other people who are vulnerable, who need meaning. Back to what you're saying earlier, right? The autonomy of finding people who are upset at what's going on and whatever
Yeah.
they're upset about, then all of a sudden that becomes part of their snowball, rolling down the mountain. So it starts with being poor, and then it's poor because of a certain race, and then it's poor because of a certain race and a certain sex, and then it's poor because you're a certain race, sex, height. Your favorite Power Ranger was pink. I don't know. But
Yeah.
but whenever someone says there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud, when I hear that there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud, I believe that. That's actually a true statement. There is no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Because widespread means it's one target.
Oh
Widespread
yeah.
means it was one attack. But when you have small, autonomous, is working within their own cells, actions happen, there's no way to interrupt the process. So
Yeah.
I said all that.
Well, it's targeted.
It's targeted. So I found out the
Yeah.
stuff that I was going to show you earlier. You ready?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is the numbers of my favorite organization of all time, votevets.org. Okay, so for this year, their grand total raised was $228 million. Now, I mean, $228 million would have done a hell of a lot for the veteran community, I feel like. Like, we could have opened up, like, a park for us to hang out at or something, a pool hall or something. Now, here's the odd part. Total for Democrats. So that's this part here. For Democrats, $14 million. But against Republicans, $213 million. Now, why would an organization that's votevets.org or any organization for that matter, I don't know about you, but like, I'm promoting me and I'm not putting down other people because I think I'm awesome. I wake up every day and tell myself I piss excellence, right? You have to tell yourself that. They literally have so little confidence in their own party and their own candidates that instead of spreading, look how awesome our people are, their alternative is, nah, don't even talk about our people because it's really not that great. Let's spend 1,000. What is that? I can do the math in my head right now. It's 1,500% more. 15 million versus 215. So $200 million more against Republicans. Well, here's how it turned out for them. They spent $30 million. They lost 6 out of the 10. That didn't work out so well. So in Iowa, for the Senate seat, I'm sorry, this is not votevets.org. This is their partner. Which one? Georgia? Oh, dude, you had Warnock, total 1 million. Really? Say that one more time. She divorced him and went off on him? Oh. Domestic violence, yeah. And then it spotlights on her, and so, yeah, she went off on him. Yeah, that's a bummer. We can't go around, running over your wife. That's really not going to work out politically. Yeah. She did not pull out a Hillary Clinton and say, "What cigar?" We were in the White House? Right. Um, let me nerd out on this. I know this is really boring for most people, but this is like super important to me. It's probably the most important aspect of politics that I think is so overlooked. So this is the Senate super PAC fund for the Democrats' Senate seats. Now, this $228 million that was raised, none of that was tax deductible. Okay, tell me how many people can afford getting rid of $228 million. As a group of people. I think there was 30 to 40 donors. Who could afford $228 million as a group without any tax deductions. Like, this is just straight up going to political funds, and if it's not a tax deduction, because the tax deduction is a financial gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the financial gain of a tax deduction for millions of dollars wasn't sexy enough, what are they getting here? Do you understand this at all, or no? Do I need to break
Yeah,
this down more?
no, I get it. Yeah, there's definitely some kind of incentive. It's like this stimulus bill they're trying to pass. What do you think that money's going? That money's being it's being funneled.
Well, my issue is that we have to get rid of these fucking super PACs. Like, there's no way that we can sustain a society when billionaires or whoever, other foreign countries. I know my stuff's freezing. Okay, so let me put this over here. Okay, so whenever you have hundreds of millions of dollars that are being able to be spent for a certain political candidate to not win, that's saying that we have to get him out of office.
Yeah, that's collusion, and honestly, to me, it's treasonous.
That's what I'm trying to say right now. Like, we should be up in arms. I say
Yeah.
up in arms. Like, hypothetically, I'm not going to pull out my gun and go march on Congress right now. But this is bullshit. There's no way that there should be, what is it, 535 people in Congress? Am I correct?
Yeah.
535. If all of them were in front of me right now, and I said, "Hey guys, you all know, each and every one of you know, there are millions, hundreds of millions of dollars being spent in these elections, and there are people starving in the streets. There are kids who are hungry at night, and you're not fucking pissed about this? What the fuck is wrong with you? Where the
Mm.
fuck are your morals?" Oh, you're
Yeah.
afraid you won't win your election because somebody's going to shut you down, or you're not going to win, or you have skeletons in your closet. I will go live and tell you every skeleton in my fucking closet if that means that there's a kid next door who doesn't go fucking hungry. Fuck these guys.
That's why I wrote my book. I put myself out there because it's going to help other people, and the same concept, man. Like, these people in power need to step up, and they're too caught up in this
I'm not
the
mad
money,
at them.
man.
Or the fear. I'm not mad at them, right? I'm saying either nut up or get out of the way and say, "Hey, this is too much for me. I gotta bow out.
Yeah.
I can't handle
Well,
it."
what's that country where they went out there and they hung the nooses out in front of the Capitol and said, "Hey guys, you guys are going to resign," and they had like 1 million people out there, and they were like, "Okay, we resign." They all left. They all resigned that day. I mean, is that what it's going to take? I mean, I'm planning on trying to go to DC on the 6th. I got to make sure my plans can align, but my goal is to make it up there. And that's one of the things when they were talking about the stimulus package. And I was like, yeah, if they pass that stimulus package, I'm going to use that $600 to take my ass to DC. So they're going to fund that at least.
I love the idea, because if that happens, I'll go with you. And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
wear a mask either.
No, I
If I
mean,
could, if I could put a mask on my face and save lives, or even make someone feel more comfortable, I'll do it. Right? I've had family members that are sick. My parents had it. I still have family members who have it. It is scary. Like, it is real. There's no thing about that.
yeah.
You don't agree? Or
Well, my family members, they're like, I've been on this planet long enough. If I die, that's God's will. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I won't come around you if I'm sick. Is that a courtesy?
right? Okay, so each of us can have our own stance. I will wear a mask
Yeah.
when I go to the grocery store if that makes people feel better, right? But I'm not going to be told I have to.
Yeah. I won't wear one.
He said I'm not going to
Like
wear
if I wore a mask, it would offend my grandmother. Really. She has so much faith in God that if I wore a mask around her, she'd think that I'd be questioning her faith because she honestly, she believes what she believes. And of course, my
Hey,
mom's
you
the
don't mess
same
with
way.
grandmother. My grandmother was awesome.
Yeah. Grandma said,
Yeah.
she said, Grandma said,
Hey,
but yeah,
yeah.
I've been asked to leave a couple places, and I'm like, no. They've tried to give me a mask, and I'm like, look, I'm not wearing a mask. I don't need one. I'm not sick. Asymptomatic people, it's already been proven they are not contagious. And to be
No,
honest,
wait.
I know
Who you listen to? Are you not? You're not listening to scientists
no,
because scientists have
I
proven.
know that. Look, well, I don't know. I don't listen to shit on the media, but the TV, the television, no, I don't listen to the television. But
Oh, dude.
I just know because like I know a bunch of people because like my neighbors had it, the guy down the street had it, my brother and his wife have had it, and like I've been around these people around that time. Well, I I've been around them, and I haven't got it. I don't get sick because of the things I practice. I drink nothing but alkaline water. I take vitamin C and zinc every day. I go outside and I ground with my shoes off. I take ice cold showers in the morning, and all of these things are good for circulation. So I promise you, I could go into a crowd of people that have it, and I don't think I would get it. I really believe that.
You know what?
It's a way of life.
I'm not going to disagree with you because at that point I don't want to tempt you to do that. That doesn't seem like it's work out well for anybody if you do catch it.
Well, I don't go out of my way to I wash my hands and
You probably
I
walk about
social
too, don't
distance.
you sick son of a gun.
Yeah. Well, I social distance and I wash my hands, and to me that's showing people respect because I'm giving them their space. They have their mask, they're protected. Hey, I've actually done studies, and the reason I'm so against the whole concept is the studies that I've done and the videos that they show online. It shows them using aerosol for the mist. So when they put the mask on the dummy and they spray the aerosol through the mask, it comes out and goes up, right? Well, if you look at the statistics on it, a coronavirus particle is only like 0.12.
At the max,
And
0.12 microns.
yeah, and an aerosol is like 5 to 50 milligram, whatever size that is. But I posted a piece of content on it, and it's like, there's no way if all of that aerosol can make it through there. You think that little particle's not going to get through there? I mean, I wore a mask for my career a lot, and a lot of the masks I wear aren't.
If you and I were sitting here talking to each other face to face, we'd probably end up spitting on each other. Like, at some point, like spit would happen somewhere, right? And
Well, what goes up must come down. If we're sitting in the same room and we have it, it's going to be in the air. Period.
So yeah, I'm glad. You know what? We're trying to argue with each other, but we're just trying to prove each other right first. It's cute.
Yeah.
No, seriously, the idea of having a mask block a virus is like your underwear and your pants blocking a fart.
Yeah. I seen a TikTok on that actually.
It's my favorite TikTok of all time.
Yeah.
I want to share something with you that proves you're right, because my new idea, my I don't know, common sense thinking has this as the problem. When you have this guy right here had to get the shot at it's El Paso.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. It,
Uh,
is that is that the one with the needles already pushed in on
yeah.
the syringe?
Right.
Yeah, you,
Now,
that
granted,
was that was
well, granted, okay. What if he grabbed the wrong syringe, right? And he already figured it out, and all the cameras are there. He's nervous. Okay.
yeah.
And I'm trying to, be realistic about this because if you're on television as like, yeah, I'm getting the virus, and then 5 years later, did you get the coronavirus vaccine? Like it's we're watching late night television, like he's probably thinking that in his head. So what if he didn't want it, and this guy messed it up or
Mm.
whatever? But the next day or 2 days after that, the college said, well, we hit him with another dose just to make sure that he's good. And when I saw that, I asked Shelly, I was like, "Why? Are you sure this is real? You're telling me that they said that they acknowledged that maybe he didn't get enough of the vaccine, and they give another dose."
Whoa. Hmm. What they do? Stick them with a needle that they injected into somebody else and like double tapped them. Like that's even worse.
The fact that they cannot be honest and be like, "Well, he didn't actually want the freaking vaccine, but he drew the straw," and
Yeah.
we decided to try to fake it or whatever.
Yeah.
The moral of the story
Hmm.
is, I don't trust it because I don't see a
Mm-mm.
nurse who's, man, this thing is not working right. Sorry. It keeps freezing now. Oh, this is great. You talk. I'm going to let you talk, and I'm going to fix some stuff real fast.
I know everything goes through streaming these days, but I don't know. Me personally, I've actually I've done a lot of research on this, and it was before the coronavirus even came around. I did a lot of research because I am a RF engineer. I am a microwave engineer. I am fascinated with nanoparticle technology. I'm fascinated with technology in general. So I have a vast understanding compared to most people. And what I've learned, in the tower industry and working around RF and microwave, I've actually had microwave sickness. And then some of the things that they explain, it's like I was hospitalized 2 years ago, and they said it was viral meningitis, but the symptoms of COVID was what I had 2 years ago, and I was hospitalized. They actually put me in quarantine because they thought I had a bacterial infection, and it turned out to be what they said was viral meningitis. They did the thing where they stuck the thing in my nose. They had to they did a spinal tap to pull out bone marrow, and they ended up boiling it down to viral meningitis. But
That
I
sounds like a
started doing a
syndrome.
lot of,
I don't know what the hell that is. That
no,
sounds terrible.
it's where your brain starts attacking itself, and it basically swells up because it thinks it's a virus. So it starts attacking, your brain starts attacking itself or something. But it feels like your head is literally going to explode. Like it's very painful. Um, But after that, I started digging in. I did a lot of research and basically what I knew from RF technology. And at that point, I was testing 5G. I was actually in the field testing these 5G
Okay,
towers.
you got to warn me right now. Are we going down the 5G road and you have facts?
No, I'm not going. I'm going to say I will not say it on media, but my research, along with resources, are available on. I actually did a video. I removed it though, but they're available on my social media platform. I posted a link today to my Twitter where I posted all the links for my resources and the 2 articles that I wrote about it. So we won't go into details about it, but if someone were to want to learn about it, they could read my resources first and then read my articles, and then it would be like, whoa,
Okay,
to
so you're saying
anybody who
5G
reads
is
it.
bad.
Mhm.
Would that be the conclusion? Okay.
I'm a 13-year RF engineer.
But you don't know what you're
It's
talking about, though. You're just crazy.
but yeah, I'm crazy. But the radios that they use, I'll tell you this: the radios that they use to transmit are the same radios they use in weapons. the radio transmitters are the same as what they use on the battlefield. The only difference is the programming that we put into them tells it how much power to transmit. And as much cyber crime, yeah, okay. But the vaccine all plays a role. You have to read the articles that I talk about, and it talks about nanoparticles. They say in vaccines, nanoparticles can't make it to your brain because they're not electrically charged. But when you start cranking up amplified frequencies, it charges the. You get what I'm going with that?
Yes, sir.
It charges these particles, allowing them to get to your brain, and plus also into your blood, which can cause clotting. And most people die from what? Almost heart attack. Yes. So you have to read my research. I put a lot of effort into it.
Well, I've seen.
It's a theory. It's called COVID theory.
It's not theory. I hate the word theory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything we know.
If it's your COVID conclusion, I'm okay with you saying that, because what I don't like is the fact that I've heard time and time again that Joe Biden is for gay marriage. And you can listen to an audio tape of him saying he's against it. Like 14 years ago.
He's bipolar. He don't know what he thinks anymore. He's got too much aluminum in his brain. You see how he got him another shot. He's gonna have another Alzheimer's next. Dementia's gone. He's about to have Alzheimer's. As soon as he gets amplified, he's gonna.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Let's play this out then. Okay. So what would be? You obviously have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
So you saying that there's the 5G is bad? Is something that you're saying like
it can be. It can be. Like I was saying, these radios are the same ones that they use in the battlefield. The only difference is the code that says, "Hey, you need to pump at this frequency at this power level."
You have a hacker.
That's what I'm saying. If they can hack the damn Pentagon, and they just
I want to make sure that was clear for the people who are listening, because I think that part.
If they wanted to hack these cell phone towers, they could really mess some stuff up.
So is it a good idea? Is it really worth it to download that video? I mean, I don't know how much quicker my videos can load, because my stuff is pretty instant.
Yeah. I'm good at 4G. Anything over that,
I mean, at that point, I at least wasn't on TikTok all day, You have.
Yeah, I personally don't agree with it. I know what it is.
You know the capabilities of it, and I know that I got a letter in the mail in 2016, 2017 saying, "Hi, Bobby Stegall, or Robert Stegall, RBAD, over here at the Defense Information Agency. Your entire top secret clearance, like all that information, somebody stole it. It rhymes with China. Not really sure how it happened. It happened between 2014 and 2 weeks ago. Here's a year of free credit protection for you, for your credit score." And I'm like,
what?
Hey, who the fuck sent this through the mail? I just had training on how not to sexually abuse a woman, which I already knew how not to do. And you're telling me that you're going to send this through the mail and you're not going to have a meeting at my company level, at least like, "Hey guys, all of our top secret stuff is gone. You might need to change up some stuff. You might need to do this, this, and this."
Yeah.
I don't know, for security purposes, it kind of weird that if you research this, obviously it happened to me. It happened to every single person, according to my knowledge, that was in the Army, at least in that time period. It was China who did it. They said that in the letter. Why would they go after all that information? Because they want to see my Facebook profile?
Mm-hmm.
Why was that not a topic of conversation, and why was it sent to the UPS mail and not my commander sitting everyone down? That's the level of we really messed up. if we just send them a letter, don't put a phone number on it. Maybe they'll just forget about it. I'm like, no, dude. Like that has everywhere I lived since I was 16 years old, and everyone who lived next to me, and my family, and my friends who you guys interviewed. There's some really important stuff on there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they dig deep. I know I had to go through loopholes to get mine because of where I was raised at.
Fair enough.
the,
I was
yeah,
trying
the
to
FBI.
sorry, hold on, time out. I was trying to give you I was trying to give you credit for what you're saying, because if people with top secret clearances can get robbed of all their information on a massive scale, why would it not be crazy to think that, from what you're saying, if there's a vulnerability for cyber attacks and hackers,
Yeah.
it's going to be a bad time. So, that's a good point.
Something to consider for sure.
Well, if I was governor,
The technology
I
came
would not let
from.
people have it in my town. Well, everything does though, right? Like most of the advancements come from the military or space agency, or
Yeah, but not everything. Not everything comes from the military. Not everything comes from the military that was being used as a weapon before. Right?
word.
Not everything, but especially something that's backbone comes off of the internet that's compromised. Things that make you go,
All right. So what's going to happen with the election, and what do you feel like is appropriate reaction? Because right now I feel as if the 535 people who are in charge of 330 million people, there's only about 20% of them who are doing the right thing. So about 80% of them need to go.
Okay. I honestly believe, based on what I've heard, that there is a bigger plan.
What if there's not?
I think there is, and you look at the way things are playing out. You look at the way certain things happen, and like I said, read Art of the War, and then followed by Donald Trump's book, Art of the Deal. When you follow that book by that, it'll give you a whole new perspective of the man and what he is capable of.
If I hadn't already heard 3 other people tell me that exact same thing, I'd felt more comfortable about
it. There's some truth behind it, but it's a game of chess. Yeah, it's a game of chess, and they're playing checkers. So it kind of lets you know. And it's like what the post I did today about Ness.
Too much. Okay, we have to make a deal. If we're gonna be friends, and,
I don't want
to. Whoever. So the all these, every single time I hear the same thing repeated across platforms or people that I know that my dad and you don't know each other, but I've heard the same thing from both of you. So it's like, where's this information come from, right?
And social media ain't letting it out,
right? So then I go back into the okay. We have to remember that like Donald Trump didn't come over here and not change some stuff. Like he has made, like I said the other day, he has been the first president that I know in my lifetime. I've been like, yeah, he's my president, killing it. So he has no obligation, I feel like, at this point, to do.
Let me tell you.
What I'm saying is like he needs some support right now from us, from people who believe that there is injustices, things that are being lied and told to us by the media. When you can have one thing played on CNN and one thing played on Fox News, and their controversial topics literally spun
Identical. Well, they have identical.
Yes, same thing happened, but they put 2 different spins on it. Read 1984. Yeah. That shit does not turn out well.
Have you ever read Propaganda by Edward Bernays?
I don't know French.
well, Edward Bernays was brought over after the Nazi regime, and he was brought over to work for the U.S. government. What was it? Truman was the president at that time. He signed Operation Paperclip, and they brought over the physicists and scientists and all the professionals from Hitler's regime. But Sigmund Freud's nephew, his name was Edward Bernays Jr., and he basically taught the U.S. government, and it's in his book because he basically wrote his book in his dying days, and he told everybody in his book how he felt terrible about teaching the American government how to use propaganda to manipulate people. And he was the one who actually, I don't know if you've heard about it, when women's rights started up, where the whole equality and women's rights started, it was because of him, because what he did was he paid a bunch of women a lot of money to go out in, what was it, DC during some kind of like big rally, and he paid them all to go out there and light up a cigarette at the same time. And in those days, that was unheard of. Women didn't smoke in public. But it all was funded by propaganda. This guy paid a bunch of women to smoke cigarettes in public.
Fair, women should have never been able to vote. So that's probably where we started off wrong.
Well,
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
Oh.
I was trying to have a clip.
I
was trying to make a clip for everyone. You're like, hey man, I'm married, dude. I got to go back to this, man. Like, I'm in so much trouble just for you.
You're gonna get a broom coming through the window over there.
Yeah.
What you say?
Yeah. You were just talking to him. He said I shouldn't. Yeah. No, I definitely believe that that's the charisma and the downfall of that movement was that once we reached a certain point, we were kind of lost in the sauce of like who has rights and who doesn't have rights anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the 60s, 70s movement. Yeah. According to my recollections of reading books, it seemed like that some of that stuff needed to happen. It seemed that there's some serious wrongs going on. And now you have the same person who is saying, I can't really say this according to liberals, but judge a man by his character, not skin color, and now we're being judged by our skin color. It's like I'm not sure what happened between 70 and here, but I know that weed is legalized. I'm not blaming it on weed, but we have to either get me more of it or you guys less of it, because this isn't making sense.
Yeah. Well, it's because they know, well, it's a money thing. And of course they know that when people are suppressed in that mindset, they're not going to question. So of course the left, they want to push it because people are going to be less subjective to try and stand up. And you know what I'm saying? If all you do is smoke all day, then you're just like, man, forget that news. You're not going to be paying attention to stuff like that.
I'm pro marijuana for my
me too.
stance. Yeah. No.
Absolutely. Some people can't maintain. I mean, people like me who did it for 15 years after I got out of the service, to me, it's like I would rather smoke than drink. But unfortunately for me to build my empire, I have to stay focused. So I gave it up, just like I gave up alcohol. Like I don't drink, I don't smoke.
You're saying all this stuff without drinking? I'm gonna go get another drink.
No, I don't drink anymore. I just quit again. I quit for a year after I wrote my book, and then I got around some people and started hanging out with people and of course everybody was drinking, so I ended up giving in and drinking, and I drank for a few months and then I quit again. I don't care for it.
Well, you're in control of what you do, and if you can say that's not good for me and walk away from it, there's a lot of people.
I'm not the best. I'm not the best me possible when I drink. And then it's not that it affects me when I drink. Yeah, everybody gets drunk. It affects me the next day. It affects me the next week. It's like it brings down my full potential. Whereas when I give it up completely, I'm like, brrr, and the moment I drink, it's like, brrr, and I got to build back up again.
You're telling me that you can't make a good sales or you're on a sale call where you have to close a deal for your business and you're hungover.
Yeah, but
you're not usually hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's not
stay hungover everyone's gonna know it, and if they don't know it, you're gonna know it because you're not gonna make the deal.
But by the end of the week, the end of the week, you're just like, oh, man, I've had a hard week, and it's like almost like a faint, because I don't really feel depression. When I feel what most people feel is depression, it's like a faint, like, oh, man, I need to, almost like a hunger, but it's like, nah. But when you drink, or when I drink, so to say, if I don't drink for a few days, it kind of hits me, and I'm like, man, I kind of need something, and I don't like
Oh,
that feeling. I don't like, yeah, I
yeah,
don't like the
definitely.
feeling of depending on something to feel good.
I feel like it depends on
I
me.
can go to, yeah.
Like it needs me to buy it. I'm like,
I can. Hey, I was an alcoholic for many years. Man. When I got back from war, I drank myself stupid
dude, I can only
all the
imagine.
time.
Yeah, but your daughter sounds like your daughter was your saving grace.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She definitely was. Yeah, it broke my heart, dude. I remember driving to Texas. I had a 16-hour drive, and it was like she was screaming the day before I left, and so I locked myself in my room, and like literally on my drive there, I called the veteran support line because I was just like busting out crying because I couldn't be around my daughter, and babies cry all the time, and it's like I couldn't stand being around her because it just I had panic attacks. So I called and this is kind of sad because I called the Veterans Helpline, and I wasn't suicidal, but I needed somebody to talk to that understood. And basically, I sit on hold for like 30 to 45 minutes before I even get anybody. And then it's some random person that they had hired for $10 an hour saying, "Oh, really? What's going on? I don't know what to say." Like,
Yeah, probably gonna read a
really?
book. Like
You should go. Yeah, they're like, you should go to your local VA and talk to somebody. I was like, that's why I called you. That's what you're here
mm.
for. Like, it just
You know,
pissed
be a
me
great
off after that.
program. You know, be a great program is people like you on a call list. You remember back in the day at your company, like there was a call list for if you get too drunk and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go down the line and get a ride out of here because I drove here and I can't drive out of here, or
Well, that
you know what I mean?
one thing that I didn't tell you about yet. Back when I was building my social platform around the same time, I also designed a app called My Battle Buddy app, and basically what it
Don't tell
does is
everyone
it
that.
gives. What? Why? I want somebody. If I don't create it, I hope so. I've already designed it. If they want to build it, whatever. At least it's helping people. I to be honest, I would give all my secrets away if I knew it made the world a better place. Like,
I love you, dude.
but
That's
and
awesome.
I talk about it to everybody. I've told a bunch of people, and I've tried to get investors for it. And I'm like, I really want to build this. It gives doctors incentives. They get write-offs when doctors get on for 30 minutes to an hour a day, and they talk to patients and students that are going to college to be a doctor. They can get in and sit in with the doctors. And they basically, when a veteran gets on there and they need help, they can ask medical questions. They can talk to them from a psychological standpoint. And it's like a direct link between people and doctors. And it's a social platform also to where people feel like they have somewhere to go. And, I could never get traction. People want it like people just don't care. So I just gave it up. I'm like, man, I put all this effort into it, hours and hours. Like I built design logos, made video, animation, graphics, and it's just nobody cares.
Okay, I
It's
care. I
ridiculous.
care. Chris, I got you. I
Well,
love your
I'm not
passion so
saying
much.
that.
No, time out, time out. Hey,
Some people care, but
you just went on a rant, so let me go on my rant.
okay.
All right. I know I don't have a cool cowboy hat on, but that
Wow.
Pat, right? Um, sir, you have the passion, definitely the knowledge, especially our conversation earlier about social media and apps and things like that. What I see has happened is imagine this was a land run. The internet was a land run. 1995, 1996. We'll say it was the first, shots fired. There were very few people during that time frame that jumped on board on it.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody bought Walmart.com before Walmart.com happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you have, um, what I would call generational laziness. So if someone was like 45, 50 in 1995, by 2010 they probably would have passed on that business to their kids. Probably would have built almost an empire, right, of websites and
Yeah.
apps and things like that.
Yeah. Generational wealth.
Right, but at the very beginning of that, it was innovation. It was
Hmm.
looking into not having to get directions from the guy at the farm stand where you had to go over railroad tracks and hit the red barn. You got to go back. You actually have a phone in your hand, and it gives you directions immediately. Like that innovation mindset of like, yeah, that's totally possible. That's a great idea. Let's do it.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
a shit ton of money off of it. But this second generation has been given all this wealth, all this land, bought land, right? And you and I both know that there's a vast opportunity to come in there and not take it from them, but use a little bit of land that we have and make it look like well, I don't want to. We'll make it look like USA versus China. That's how advanced we are. I'm trying to think of like I don't want to say like states because I only have like 3 states that aren't following me right now, so I don't want to like piss one of them off. But just for S and Gs, we'll say it's like Cuomo as governor, and my favorite politician right now, my brother Jay Stegall. Like how that guy just inherited all that stuff. His dad was somebody. I don't know who his dad was, but his dad was, licking boots since he was a kid. So he grew up licking boots. He's a bootlicker. And there's politicians like my brother, who's he's not a politician. He's just a good man, doing the right thing, calling out what he thinks is wrong, and talking to people who have different opinions because he wants to bring them together. That kind of mindset is dangerous for social media, and they don't realize it yet. So even though you are upset and you get so vehemently like, why did no one, I can tell that your anger, like, why did no one want to do this? This is a great idea. It's because the people who would have been able to help you are lazy. They already have money.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
people who think it's a good idea don't have any money.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's nail on the head right there. I see it. Like I have tons of supporters, but of course, nobody is in a position to do anything about it.
Well, I remember the first time I saw a website, and I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever. We just have to,
Was that dial up?
Dude, dial up. I go to sleep sometimes, and I have like nightmares. I'm shaking at night, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, still no connection. Oh, someone called me.
Yeah.
Shit.
When
Yeah.
when I first learned about dial-up, I was actually that's after I met my grandmother, who was she was a millionaire, and so she had the fastest dial-up possible. And I get up there and I'm like, I remember like loading a page. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go take a shower, and I get back from the shower. And I'm like, damn, 75%, and it's like one page. And we sat there and waited for it. We waited it.
Like it was nothing. It was like, man, look at this. There's gonna be like,
Whoa! Right before my very eyes. Data.
Did you have AOL CDs? Like if I could find an AOL CD, like the free 200 hours. Do you remember those? Like it started off as like AOL
Yeah.
5-hour free
Yeah.
CDs at Walmart. If you spend $10, and by like the end of the year, they're like 400 free hours. Shit, just take these CDs. Like we got too many of them. We cannot handle all these CDs because the internet's gaining way too much traction.
Yeah.
We used to sell those CDs at school. Like, hey man, I got 2 free AOL CDs. You want it? Like, yeah, I gotta talk to Carrie over there. Like, I gotta see if I can download the new emojis so I can send her emojis.
That's great. Good times. Wow. It seems like yesterday too.
Yeah, it does. But at the same time, I'm glad it's really far away because it was That was a nightmare at the same time.
Oh yeah, that tone, that that dial up tone where it's loading, and oh goodness.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it's like, if I go to this website, like what's going to be on it? You remember your friends would like send you websites, hey, go here, and like you click on the link, no idea what's on the other end. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I don't think he got on that one, but
yeah. Well, my first computer still had the flat floppy disk, the thin ones. It was bad.
oh
It was DOS. That's what it was. It was DOS. And I remember like, I'm going to learn to be a programmer. And I was like, what the hell is all this?
yeah. Okay, time out. If you look back, what's that? 25 years ago, a programmer sounded like someone who's basically figured out how to get on the moon with his bicycle. Like that dude's way smart, but actually that was just like a floppy disk and zeros and ones, and
Yeah.
it's like, that was too.
I was, wait. I wanted to be a hacker. That's what it was. I was like, I'm gonna hack this because I'd seen something about it online, and I was like, I'm gonna be a hacker.
Okay, I'll tell
Yeah.
one story and then we'll get off here because I feel like it's 11 o'clock and I have a young girl and you have a wife. I don't want to get you in trouble here. But speaking of hacking, I'm going to tell this story that I don't think I told anybody else. I don't think I ever got caught for it. But in high school, I did the same thing. I heard through the AOL chat rooms for hacking that I was in, you can go to school and send a message to any computer you wanted to. And it would pop up like right there on the front by using
Mhm.
I don't remember what it was. Do you remember what it was called? Like you go, it was Windows 95, and then you went into some kind of like system settings for the network, and you had to apply as an admin. But back then, like the passwords for these brand new computers at this high school that no one knew how to run, basically, was like admin.
Yeah.
Password was an admin
Yeah.
password,
Yeah.
and then you could send messages to any computer in the school.
You pinged it. That's a connection from one to another is a ping. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, pinging it, but you could send a message like I think it was up to 50 characters, and so I just
Yeah.
go through there and randomly send messages to teachers. And I sent two, and then I was like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. I said like hey twice, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get so much trouble. I'm gonna get out of here.
That's great. You know where the term hacking actually came from, right? The first form of hacking was, right?
Mm-mm.
It was called fracking. And it's funny how it actually started. Captain Crunch used to have this little whistle. Have you heard this story?
No, Captain Crunch definitely had a whistle for sure. I remember that.
Okay. Well, Captain Crunch had this whistle, and this was the first form of hacking because people found out if you took this whistle, it had the same tone that the coin sent through the phone to make long distance phone calls. So people would take these toys out of the phones to the payphone, and they blow it into the phone, and they were basically hacking the phone companies. It was called fracking or something like that. It's crazy. Yeah, I swear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got one time
But
because I was told that you could use your phone and it kills.
no, there was actually a documentary on it a long time ago before the media started like chasing politics. It was, but yeah, it was a real thing. It was.
We don't even talk about
crazy.
TV. The old TV was so much fun. Remember Unsolved Mysteries? That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Like,
I never was a
trench
fan.
coat. You weren't a fan of Unsolved
Yeah.
Mysteries? Just the idea,
No.
like that was okay. Like some guy walking in a trench coat, brown trench coat, with smoke in the background. Unsolved Mysteries. I was like, I ain't watching this. Like, what is going on right now?
Remember, I didn't have parenting. I was up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning watching Tales from the Cribs and Rhonda's Up All Night, and what's that other one?
You got I don't even know.
Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Twilight Zone. Yeah, Twilight Zone.
Oh, I definitely know the Twilight Zone. You know.
So then when I got home from school, I was sleeping until it was midnight so I could get up and watch the good stuff.
Yo, Nickelodeon ain't got nothing on what was it?
Yeah.
Goosebumps ain't got nothing on Twilight Zone, guys. You guys don't even know what you're missing.
No, and Rhonda's Up All Night. It was this Elvira looking chick with black hair, and she had really big boobs. And she would basically share like these dark, crazy horror stories and stuff like that. But she was like the host of it, almost like Tales from the. You ever seen Tales from the Crypt?
I know the premise of it.
Where
the premise, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, there was like a narrator that started it, and then it went into a storyline. You have to look it up. I actually to this day I had anybody talk about it.
Yeah, I think there's reasons.
I guess I was the only kid that was up all night watching that crap.
There's some guy at the news station like, yeah, man, I don't know. Somebody's watching it every night. Just keep playing it. Somebody watched it.
Yeah, that's great. That was me. I sponsored that. Yeah.
Brought to you by.
It messed me all up. Yeah.
Okay, well, South Park needs to come back. And, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
I can only handle so.
I should let you go because I know you need to go. You have a family. It's late.
Yeah, normally my wife texts me about now, and she's like, "You've been in there 2.5 hours." I'm like, "Well, hey."
It's a long ass podcast. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm impressed.
Hey, we can do it again.
Well, you're the new the honorary host of the podcast. So, you know what? I'll go and share the story, and then we'll get off here. You go through life trying to figure out where you fit in. Trying to figure out who is your friend, who is your enemy, and who may have a crush on you, and who loves you. The final piece of that puzzle for most people is business, the business aspect of that. Because at the end of the day, you could work, 9 to 5 or 18 hours all day. You need somebody to love you. Now, some people have a cat, some people have a dog, some people have me. Okay. You have all those aspects of life that are important emotionally, and when you're really trying to strive to achieve, to build an empire, it gets lonely as you get further along in life. It gets lonely as you figure out that more of the friends that you have aren't on the level of commitment that you're on. They're complacent with 9 to 5 and watching sports or whatever, and that's great. But it's just as lonely as being single and seeing everyone else being married. So, for everyone who's trying to be an entrepreneur, there's a lot of young kids who watch this. Young 2025 age group is my demographic for the podcast for some reason. You have to know that you're going to know when you have the ability to gain followers from working with somebody, or someone who's going to gain followers from you working with them. And the ability to know that, hey, you know what? This guy I've never met before, all of a sudden has all the same interests I do, been working his ass off, and all of a sudden you have the ability to see he has more to offer. I'm rambling now. What I'm trying to say is, everyone's always talking about doing cool shit until it comes down to doing cool shit. And then everyone's a bitch. And you've been doing cool shit. And it's nice to have you on the podcast. So I want you to be part of the podcast.
I'm purpose driven. That's the trick.
Yeah. It's hard to phrase it because it's like really personal. But you know how it feels. Like when you're trying to find that person to build your business with, you're like, man, if I had somebody who was here with me driving this thing every single day, you could build something. So
yeah, it takes teamwork. One of the things that I was actually going to mention before was actually related to Trump. That's why I think it's very important to read books, especially of billionaires, because Richard Branson's book, he actually talks about an event where he had with President Trump, and he said President Trump, before it was President Trump, it was Donald Trump, you know, the billionaire, and he come up to Richard Branson at one of those national conventions and said, look, he's like, he basically said there's a lot of messed up people out there. He's like, I'm trying to do this. He's like, I'm going to take out these people. He was talking about it then, about taking these people out, and asked Richard Branson if he would be a part of it. And of course, Richard Branson said, I don't really want any part of it, because maybe he wasn't. Well, Richard Branson ran off and started a group with Nelson Mandela called the Elders. And it's basically like the same thing we were talking about earlier, how everybody has their own dream and goal. And these, you know, you're on your page doing the right thing, and this other person's over here worrying about this, and they're not accomplishing nothing, you know?
It breaks your heart. You're like, man, that guy would have been so great with me, but he's doing his own thing. And then also, that guy would have been so great, but he loves potato chips. Shit.
But you see who actually followed through with what they said they were going to do. Richard Branson's out there living on his island, you know, in fairy world, and Donald Trump's our president, and he's getting shit done.
You know, regardless of how anyone feels about the guy, like, I will say, like, that guy does what he says, and there's something to be valued in that. Because if somebody said, hey, I'm going to take over the world, and I'm going to enslave everyone, right? Like, if Donald Trump said that, I'd be like, oh, shit. Like,
I would think, he's going to do that.
He's 12 for 12 right now, as far as every campaign promise he had.
Yeah.
So
when he says he's going to take down the deep state,
it's kind of like, well, maybe he's 12 for 12. It's also vulnerability, though. You know how many people he probably asked, like, hey, you want to be on my team? And they're like, yeah, I'll be on your team until something better comes along. And he's like, yeah. Which person do you want to be? Because I'm not sure if you see my track record. Look at Trump's track record of people who've screwed him over. It doesn't usually end up well for them, and it's kind of interesting to watch. So,
well, look at Tiffany's when he had bought the building across from or next to Tiffany's, and of course Tiffany's didn't want to sell him the location, so he bought the air rights above them. So in New York City, they can no longer grow up, so they're limited to their little shell. So eventually, they ended up selling them.
Yeah, because all the other towers went up.
Really? Yeah, that's the art of war right there.
It is. All right, go to bed. As a veteran, it's cool that we had an honest conversation. Never met before. This was probably the longest conversation that we've had by about 3 hours.
It's been 3 hours?
Let's say actually 5. So if you're a veteran and you need to reach out to somebody, don't reach out to him. Reach out to me. Follow me. Oh yeah, reach out to our friend Chris here.
My cat just walked in front of the camera.
I'm not gonna lie, it looked like you had a brush. Like all right, so promote yourself real fast, and we'll get off here.
What's that?
Promote your stuff, and we'll get off here. Where can people?
Okay, guys. Yeah. Well, of course, you can find me on all platforms at #TheFreeKid. My name is Chris Walls, the founder of the Free Kid LLC. Our social media platform is thefreekidsocial.com. I also have a self-help website called thefreekid.com that we have probably about 8 writers that write content for self-help and self-development. And as you can tell from my social platform, if you join us, it's always going to be around. We're not going to suppress content. We protect the Constitution and the right to free speech. It's always going to be like that. It's going to get better. It just costs a lot of money. And right now I'm one man doing it all myself. I am launching a advertisement digital marketing agency called adventmicromedia.com. And it's going to be the financial backbone to once I get that running, and it's going to fund the whole operation. So look out for us. We're building an empire.
I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Hey guys, I'm Bobby. Follow my stuff. It's really fun to follow me.
I've been practicing.
Yeah, no, I'm like, this is how it feels like going after someone who's killing on the stand-up tour, and you have to bomb right in front of everybody. But I do appreciate everybody listening. It's fun doing all this stuff, and be sure to follow Chris. God bless. Take care, and Merry Christmas. Take 2 days off with politics, and we'll get back in on this later.